welcome to First Things First. It is Friday. I am Jenna Wolf. That is the Hall of Famer Cris Carter. This
You gonna hustle me out of any more money, Jenna Wolf?
Nick Wright. Oh, we're going there?
I mean, you gonna hustle me out of any more money?
Can I do something that I never ever get a chance to do on this show? Do me a favor.
Oh, you want me to hold that L?
Nick Wright, will you hold this L
No,
for me?
no,
Just hold it, man.
I won't actually. Yesterday after the show, Cece, what happened?
Greatest thing that ever happened since we started this program.
Nick, you taught Jenna how to hold the L, so out of respect for what it is,
hold the L, baby. Hold the L.
Hold the L.
While she's holding my $100.
Yeah, go ahead, tell him, Cece.
I made a bet with Jenna Wolf that she couldn't make a shot from across the room into a small trash can. Cris Carter tried to manipulate the situation, move the trash can.
I was just trying to give her a clear vision.
45 feet away, under a tiny table, and the bucket was about this big, and it was a protein bar.
45 feet.
He put $100 down on the fat, and I'm not good at gambling, but that seemed like a good bet
I gave her
for me.
5 to 1 odds. It was 20 to 100. I gave her 2 shots. First shot, perfect. Nothing but net. I'm $100 lighter this morning.
I nailed it.
Congratulations,
Thank you. And I offered to give you your money back, to which you said, I would have taken your $20.
Yeah, of course. I can't. No,
absolutely.
I lost a wager. I got to pay the wager.
One of the best things that's ever happened. I'm going to marinate in the moment for 2 more seconds. And now we can start the show. I might bring it up 6 more times. Felt good, guys. We start with the Golden State Warriors.
People aren't as happy as you, Jen.
No, clearly not. No one has reached out on Twitter yet, and it's been like 2.5 minutes. I wonder if Kevin Durant was thinking, hey, it's my first game back after missing 6 games with a rib injury. My team hasn't been playing well. I think I'll play 17 minutes, score just 10 points, and then get thrown out of the game on a double technical. That's exactly what happened. Durant tossed on his 5th ejection, 14th tech of the season right before the half. His head coach, Steve Kerr, said he was ejected for, quote, saying the magic word. I doubt it was please. Durant spoke to the media after the game.
This is your 5th ejection. It's the most in a while. Is there anything you can pinpoint? Is there anything that you've thought about over the course of these 5 that you can say, like, this is why it's happening more than in years past?
Usually just bad calls. I'm protesting. Pretty simple. you wanted a deeper reason? Oh, is that a character? Is it a character flaw that I get thrown out of games? I hope not. I hope you don't look at it that way. Jeez. No, just mainly just foul calls that I think they're wrong, and I tell them about it, and they don't like how I say it. I get tossed. I mean, I could definitely talk to them a little better, I guess.
I don't know. I think it might be a slight character flaw when you keep getting thrown out of the game because you lose your temper. Cece, what was your reaction to Kevin Durant's, let me say it like this, NBA leading 5th ejection? That means most in the NBA.
I was shocked. I was shocked because of all the things that, just have transpired, but not only in the last several weeks, not only since he's been with Golden State, but ever since he basically, the day he got the MVP. The day the
finals MVP?
No, the day he got the MVP of the league. Okay. And he gave the trophy to his mom, and he made the incredible speech how his mom was the real MVP. He went through how he was raised, him and his brothers, how his mom sacrificed, and the things that she did, and how he looked up to her, growing up in Washington, D.C., very, very humble beginnings. And at that time, I mean, everyone adored Kevin Durant. I mean, he was amazing. In college at the University of Texas, people don't remember, 26-12. As a freshman, 26-12, and decides to go to the NBA. Not a guy struggling, like he's had success at every level he's been at. And that being the pinnacle that day when he told his mom that she was the real MVP. Subsequently, what's happened since then, I mean, like, I don't know who the guy is. Like, I wish I knew who he is, because when you cheer for people, because I'm a fan of the game. I'm a fan of Kevin Durant, how he plays basketball. So you would like to think, be a little naive to think you just know him just a little bit. But in Kevin Durant's case, I would have to question myself, man, did I ever know him? Do I ever understand, like, who he is as a person?
And what did Chris Broussard say that Katie has told him?
This is the real him.
Yeah, that was an act in OKC. Yeah. So I was like, okay, now I'm not used to that. But if you're saying it, not someone else is saying it. Oh, this Kevin Durant that's in Golden State, someone else, a buddy of his, a colleague of his, an ex-teammate, saying, oh, that's the real him. But no, it's him. he told Chris Broussard, this is the real him. So, wow, this is what we're going to get used to seeing. And even getting ejected last night for the 5th time, to me, just not self-aware, just not understanding, like, there might be a problem. Yes, if I pay my money, forget that I'm an announcer. I work a 9-to-5 job. I decide to bring my spouse or one of my kids or one of my colleagues from the office. I decide to go to a Golden State game. It's not like you can afford a lot of these games. It's not like you're going to see a bunch of them. I don't expect Kevin Durant to get thrown out in the first half, especially when he's coming back from injury. So forget being an announcer. As a consumer of the products, the people in Golden State got robbed last night. So I don't know who Kevin Durant is. I don't know what we're going to see. But last night, as a fan, I was very, very disappointed that he would get thrown out before halftime when he's been out a period of time with the rib injury, and the team needs him now more than ever.
And what happened to, before I get into it, what happened to Andre Iguodala later in the game?
Oh, because he had to start the second half. He's already got a gimpy knee. He's already had one of the least productive years that he's had. He ends up being taken to the locker room at the end of the 3rd quarter. He can't play anymore. So he ends up playing 20 minutes because KD decides to take it upon himself and cuss out the referee, especially when you know you're going to say the magic word. It's like getting into an argument with your spouse where you know what to say to get you in that really hot water.
Yes.
So he goes right there.
And he goes, and listen, there's so much here to unpack for a moment. First of all, on the ejection, as little pictures as we can get, it is known. Kevin Durant was begging people to watch basketball. Well, on this podcast with Bill Simmons, which we'll get into in a moment, because the irony was not lost to me that this happened on the day that part 2 of his 7th podcast with Bill Simmons came out, and where he says, watch basketball, watch basketball. I watch an unhealthy amount of basketball. If you argue with the ref while the play is going on, that is an automatic technical for every official in the league. He walks over and approaches him, basically
while Golden State still has possession.
Exactly right. While it's still going on, you know you're getting a tee. And then when he drops what appears to be, Steve Kerr called it the golden word. If you read lips, it seems to be MF. You know that's a technical. It wasn't a 1 technical ejection. It was a 2 technical ejection that he could have avoided. He could have gotten the 1 technical, gone to halftime, and that been it. Knows his team needs him. Knows they're undermanned, all these things. But the irony is not lost on me that this comes out the same day. This happens the same day this podcast comes out. Why am I focused on the podcast? Because I listened to all 2.5 hours of this thing. And you know that MVP speech? He and his business manager agent, Rich Kleinman, laugh and joke during this podcast about how people miss the old KD. And he says, oh, yeah, MVP speech KD, laughing at it. He says repeatedly over these 2.5 hours, I'm as happy as I've ever been. I just wish people would watch basketball, would talk about basketball, instead of psychoanalyzing me, instead of talking about, is KD happy? Is KD angry? Why does everyone ask these questions? Well, let me try to answer these questions, because nobody questions how good of a basketball player you are.
No.
It's because you have now been ejected more than any player in the last 25 years not named Rasheed Wallace.
Wow.
Think about that. A guy who going into this season had 2 career ejections, now has more ejections in 1 season than any player in the league over almost 30 years. And by the way, that's only because the data only goes back 28 years. I'm not certain really what the record is. Rasheed Wallace is the only one who's been ejected more. And that's despite, by the way, KD missing time due to injury. Like, he maybe could go get Rasheed's record.
Right.
And Rasheed was considered one of the biggest hotheads in the history of the sport. There is no rational explanation for the way Kevin Durant has conducted himself. And it is not too harsh to say, I cannot remember a player of his caliber ever acting like this. The closest I could think of is Barkley, but Barkley, that was his motif, was I'm no role model, I might throw a dude through a glass window, and and Barkley was a legitimate tough guy. I never remember a guy who is one of the 2 best players in the world also being the guy most likely on any given night.
Right. I don't see us accepting this behavior. Forget top 2. Any of the top 10 NBA players this is not conduct that we would accept.
What if Damian Lillard was regularly getting thrown out of games? You know, like he doesn't have to be LeBron or KD or Steph.
Right.
Even if you're a Warriors fan and you're a huge fan of Kevin Durant and you want to justify the fact that he's a passionate player, however you want to spin it, as soon as that carries over and starts affecting the team, as soon as other guys have to start stepping in and then they get hurt, as soon as the fact that you've lost 7 of 10, you know the rest of your guys are out, you know what's ahead for you when the playoffs are about to start, when it starts affecting the team, then I think that's when you realize that you've got a problem.
And when you bring up the team, on the replay, if you watch the reaction of the bench, none of his teammates...
It is not your normal reaction in pro sports when your superstar is getting ejected.
None of his teammates look at him on the bench. None of them say anything to him. Kerr doesn't even react. And this is obviously going in a game. He's back, steps out. I'm just curious real quick, because I know we're up against Cece. If you went into a game knowing Randy is out, do you have a bigger responsibility than a regular football game to your teammates, to the other guys, a higher level of expectation of what you're going to have to do?
There is no doubt. All the responsibility is on me. Like they are relying on me in a different way. That's what like people say, well, the next man up. Well, not for great players. Some of that workload is put on you.
On you,
and now
yeah.
for role players, it's the next guy up.
And if in a game that Randy was already out with an injury, forget the fact that Clay's out as well, but if you were to be kicked out of that game,
it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible to my teammates. What about the offensive linemen? They need big plays. Like, it's irresponsible to them. It's not really being in the moment, understanding what the team needs. It's really all KD is thinking about is himself. He wasn't thinking about anything about Golden State, Steve Kerr, Draymond finally coming back. He wasn't thinking about Iggy's bad knee. Like, he wasn't thinking about that. And because he wasn't thinking about it, the rest of the people suffer. And Andre Iguodala being taken out of the game later on, which I believe, because this is one of his worst years ever. And I believe that will affect him more minutes that he has to play going through the playoff.
Not only that, he knows exactly what it takes to get kicked out of a game. He knows exactly what he's not allowed to say that'll get him tossed out of a game. And he goes there immediately.
And he knew he had gotten the first technical.
Yeah.
It was not, there are 1 technical ejections. This was a technical. It was a quick second technical.
And then
but it was, it's
I'm not saying he did this, but sometimes in sports, like, you don't have it. And because he had said his ribs were banged up, he missed all those games. In the first half of that game, man, Milwaukee was banging him. Giannis was banging him. Giannis had a forearm in his rib cage.
They're all going to, and that's what you said.
He had a forearm in his rib cage, and that could have been an easy way to get out of there. By going to it, calling the guy an MF, and being thrown out, because Giannis was coming to play.
We got a break. Chris Broussard will be here to talk about that. 10 points for Kevin Durant last night.
Giannis came to play the whole game. He didn't come to play the first half.
Coming up, did not running the 40 help or hurt Lamar Jackson? That's next on First Things First.
He was like, I'm just as fast as the other dude.